Good morning, everybody. It is the weekend, baby. Yes, it's our favorite thing. Friday is here. So I stupidly I messaged Ryan at like 4:30 this morning. I'm like, "Hi, morning. I'll see you at the studio." And I made the fatal error of going back to bed, which is just the dumbest thing anyone can do, right? Because you think, "Oh, I'll just have another 10 minutes. It's not going to be so bad." Yeah. And then you wake up at like 5:30 and you're like, "I'm not going to make it to the studio on time." Anyway, I'm here. I am ready. I have been awake since 4:30, despite my best intentions of doing more than this. And I hope you're ready to start your day. I met somebody yesterday who at 4:05 every morning does a cold shower. And I thought, oh, what a life. Would you punish yourself like that? So I know it's No Politics Friday, and Simphiwe is on her way, and she's also had a shit morning. She started her morning with a tire problem in her car, so she'll be with us in a moment. Ben will be with us a bit later on. We also have something new and cool to tell you about today. I've got to show you a video of the team on Wednesday, because we didn't get to this at all, and it's such a happy story. I was excited. The whole team at Cliff Central was excited because Banyana won on Wednesday against Italy, obviously, and everybody was watching that game, even if, like me, they don't really care about women's football. That got us all excited, right? And one of the reasons we were all excited was because we had bets on them with super bets, which was very, very cool. I've got a little video of everybody in the studio, including we had a meeting with a very important person, someone called Bonang Mohale, who is, of course, the chairperson of BUSA, Business Unity South Africa. And Bonang was in the studio with us watching Banyana playing because it was those last nail-biting moments of extra time. So, again, we have a great story. And I've got to say, super bets have really reinvigorated my interest in sport, and it's not just me. So if you want to get excited and passionate about something again, this is one hell of a way to do it. We'll talk about that in Beyond the Scoreboard later on. Do your likes and subscribes, please. So I said I didn't want to do politics on a Friday, and that's usually our rule. But I really feel like things are getting a bit fractious in South Africa, and I think we just need to take stock, because if we don't let sensible heads prevail at the moment, things really could slip a little bit out of control. The EFF rally just primed a whole lot of people on the EFF support side to say and do outrageous and ridiculous things. We've seen activity online and in the real world over the past couple of days that's got a lot of people concerned. Apparently yesterday, a whole bunch of guys pitched up at the EFF headquarters, a whole bunch of Afrikaans dudes, and they were standing there and looking intimidating. And the EFF, obviously, because they are children, really. And I don't mean to say that these Buddha were doing the right thing either. But for the EFF, this is like provocation, because to them, it's not provocation that Julius said, "Kill the farmer, kill the Boer" on the stage. That's just a struggle song, But it is provocation if you pitch up at their headquarters. So there was a lot of noise yesterday online. There were a lot of people taking sides, and things just spun out of control. I wasn't really paying attention to it, and Ryan kind of alerted me to it this morning, because everybody is getting into trouble now for their opinions online. Everybody is being forced to take sides. People are being pulled in, whether they like it or not, because the gravity of this thing is building. We've got an election next year. There's a lot on the line. This country's in big shit, okay? And I don't want to make too much of this, because I do think that ordinary South Africans across the board, no matter what their political beliefs are, no matter what their fears about the other side might be, and I hate saying the other side, because I think we're all South Africans, and I don't think most people think about black and white every day. I think the politicians make us talk like that. But I do want to say this because I think it needs saying. So we've got to calm this down. We don't have any leadership in the form of a president who's going to stand up and unify the nation and remind people of our common goals, the things that pull us together, the fact that we have to get through this year, and we're almost there. I mean, we've got a holiday next week, which will be a big moment for everybody to just take a nice deep breath and calm down. But it seems to me that there is agitation happening, and already annoyed and economically pressured country is being pushed to a point where people are now looking for someone to blame for their unhappiness. We know that there have been incidents over the last couple of years, including those riots, which really tested us. It was probably the lowest point we've been since democracy. And I think we've all got to just keep a cool and calm head about this. It's not going to come from the EFF, right? They're not going to make anybody calmer. It is in their interests to stoke things up until there is something of an incident so that they can say, look, you see, we told you South Africa is on the brink. And look, we're the revolutionaries. We're here to fix things. And that's not going to help anyone. Similarly, if, justifiably angry farmers who are sick to death of being murdered on their farms, and we know that's a real thing, as we discussed in the Burning Platform yesterday, are going to get riled up enough to go and provoke or even stand up for themselves, as the case may be, we're looking for a reason for an incident to happen, and we can't afford this now. So I just think everybody needs to take the holiday on Wednesday next week. It's irritating that it's in the middle of the week, but it does mean you have a 2-day work week, then another 2-day work week. It's going to give people a little bit of time to gather their thoughts, be with their families, think about what's important to them, and consider that the politicians are not going to come and help us this time. They haven't for the last, 12, 15 years. So it's up to you and it's up to me. And I just want us to be sensible. I don't want us to do stupid stuff at the moment. I don't want us to find or to give reasons to those people who want to divide us. And I think this is massively important because really, I don't know that we've been at a more emotionally sensitive, delicate point for the longest time. So as you go into the weekend, we're not going to talk any more politics this morning, I promise. But I don't want us to spiral into race politics, into blaming each other, into provoking each other, into looking for reasons to get into physical altercations. Let's all just be very calm. Let's remember about, the story of this country. Let's remember where we come from. Remember what pulls us together. I wish this president that we had could give you this message, but he's incapable. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's tending the gardens at home. Maybe he's having a glass of whiskey. Maybe he's just hiding because he has no idea of what to do. He's out of his depth. So in the absence of him saying this, I hope this message reaches enough people for us to just keep our shit together. Okay? That's really it. There are enough good people in this country. The majority of the people in this country are good people. They go to work. They try to do their best. Even if they don't have a job, they try to do their best. There are grannies raising whole villages in South Africa. There are single moms out there working 2-3 jobs to try and pay for things. There are people studying their backsides off to finish this year at school or at university. There are people who are just trying to get through the day and just trying to make ends meet. And those are not bad people who want worse situations for this country. So let's all put our heads down and do the right thing. Okay, I didn't mean to start this morning with a lecture, but I think that's kind of what we need to hear. All righty, let's move on. I think we got lots of things to talk about today. Slippery Pickle says, I don't get public holidays. I work for myself. If only I could if I could charge my customers for not working. Well, that's true for a lot of us. And it's especially bad when it's in the middle of the week, as we've discussed so many times. Tracy says, politicians are in it for themselves, and honest and hardworking politicians hard to find. Jordan Hill-Lewis is the best example of someone who took the job in service of others. You know who else is impressing me, because I live in Pretoria, I live in Centurion, which falls into Pretoria, is our current mayor. It's a guy called Silje Brink, and his communications department seemed to be on fleek, as the 20-year-olds would say. He's got really good people communicating. So when there's a power outage or a rubbish problem or a electricity issue or whatever, a water problem, this guy's like, he's there ready to go, which is pretty damn impressive, considering like most of these mayors are, as we've discussed, on Niope. Kampamba says, I honestly think Julius rattling off would have such an impact. I didn't think it would have such an impact. This thing has everyone so divided. We should not let that idiot divide us. Kampamba, I couldn't agree more. But we're going to move on. We really have to. And it just bothers me that ordinary citizens like you and I, Kampamba, have to have these conversations and try to help other people see the light, see the wood for the trees, because the president's just nowhere. He's nowhere. And we need him now. I mean, like, we need somebody to take charge, right? Ben's 2 rules to be a person, says Kampamba, as a second thought to that. 1, don't be a puss. 2, be lacquer. I don't know if those are Ben's rules, but they're nice rules. Here is the lovely Simphiwe Mtetwa. Hello, Simphiwe.
Good morning.
Shame, I heard you had a flat tire this morning. That's shitty.
Yeah, and what's worse is that it's the second one this week. So not a great way to start a Friday.
And not a great way to start a new month, and especially August, because this is the time of year where people are starting to think, I must save a little bit. I'm not going to spend so much. It's still winter. I'm not going to go out and do things that I normally would do. But summer, now, of course, you're like, oh, okay, I got to get 2 new tires. This is going to cost me a fortune, which it will. Irritating.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just another Friday morning, I guess. And it's like, what cannot happen now?
No.
Adulting is fun, they said.
Yeah, it isn't. All right, so it is a new month. We've got some affirmations. I follow this account called Disappointing Affirmations on Instagram, and it's hilarious. I mean, if it catches you on a bad day, you're like, oh no.
So I recently discovered it, Gareth, and I think it's the best thing ever. I think we need more accounts like this. Like, I'm so over that. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. You're doing great. No, let's be honest with the people. Let's tell them that, you know what, this too shall pass, and then some other bullshit will come and take its place. It never fucking ends. Like, they say things like that, and I'm like, yes, 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 and yes.
Well, I still am blown away by this story from yesterday, because we didn't really. I mean, I made a big fuss of it yesterday, but I want to make another big fuss of it today. This thing with this microchip that's been implanted into this guy's head, where he used to be paralyzed from the neck down, and now he can move again, and he can feel in his body again, is absolutely astonishing. Okay, and we must not underestimate how incredible this is.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard yesterday's show, but we were talking about it with Pumi. I'm so blown away. But forget about the aliens, even, which is a big story that I know everybody else is pretending isn't a big story. We get caught up in politics and in elections and in climate change and all these things that don't really affect any of us on a day-to-day basis. But then you hear about a story like this and you think about how many people you know in the world who are paralyzed or quadriplegic, paraplegic, people who've been in accidents. I one of the things that I do is I try to support Headway in Gauteng. Headway in Gauteng is a really incredible organization. And for those who know, I'm sorry to go over it again, but for those who don't, they help people who've had brain injuries. And some of these people are, through no fault of their own, they've just been dealt a really, really unlucky card in life. And then they have to spend months and months, sometimes years, in occupational therapy, trying to relearn how to walk, how to talk, how to do basic things.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. And Headway help people along. And I can't help thinking, if this technology is working, and they've tested it now successfully on this one guy who was paralyzed back in, I think, 2018 or something. And he's now able to move and he's able to feel. And below the neck, he was totally paralyzed before by the implants of these 2 microchips on his head, which you could see in the picture. Sure. I think this is so unbelievably brilliant.
Ooh.
I think this means for so many people there's hope. I mean, what a big stride forward. So if humans did nothing else in the year 2023, that would be enough.
Yeah, I think that it's like the flip side of the conversation of like technology and AI and how it's progressing, and we're all like, oh, the world's coming to the end. And then you see this and you're like, no, we on some right path. We're doing something right because we're actually improving the lives of people that, couldn't walk or couldn't do something. It's like surgeries are getting better. So therefore, there's less people that have to go back for a second or third or complications. And that's like
Yeah,
the upside of, technology and
well, it's getting better.
AI. And
It's getting better.
yeah,
Like
like it
all
just
these
puts a smile
things
on
are
your
improving.
face.
So Carl says most times you get a flat tire, it's because you're driving near very cheap strip joints. You must go to high quality gentlemen's clubs. Sim card.
Oh,
What a
oh,
terrible, what an accusation that, that Simphiwe is hanging around strip clubs. How dare you, Carl? How
I
dare you?
I do not look like one of those people that
You,
partake in those activities. What do you
but
mean, Nicole?
you, you know our listeners will never give you a free pass, right? So Hermine says, sorry, Simphiwe, 2 tires in 1 week is not a coincidence. It's your bad driving.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. No, no, it's not me. It
What?
can't be me. I am not the problem. Guys, I am not the problem. The problem is not me.
Listen, I had to drive to an interview yesterday in Pretoria, and I had to drive through basically the CBD.
Oh,
There's one road there. I mean, I haven't been down it in years. It's more pothole than it is tar. So I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think it is Simphiwe. I think it's like
no,
our roads are a disgrace at the moment. They really are. Anywhere in South Africa you drive, you're bound to have a very uneven road surface, potholes, an edge that is falling off. There's all kinds of stuff that's going on, and it's not like I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I know people who've had 3 tires go in 1 week, and they're not bad drivers.
yeah, and the fact that there's even like potholes on the highway should tell you that the roads are just a mess. Like you could be driving at 20 and you're still gonna hear the boom. Like what
Hmm.
the hell was that? So yeah, I don't think I'm the problem. Don't no, I'm not the no, not today, sir.
All right. Well, a lot of people are up and about this morning already. And as I mentioned, next week, Wednesday, you've got a public holiday. So you can take the day. It's Women's Day and just breathe and chill and spend time with family and friends and maybe just spend
Can
time in your
I
own
just
room.
say I don't understand public holidays on a Wednesday. Like I think
That's
they're just as bad as the one yeah, like on a Saturday. It's useless. Like can we move it?
terrible. Well, I've tried to explain this to people, but no one wants to listen. I even sent some back. This was back when, who was it? Who was the Minister of Recreation or whatever it's called? And I sent a letter to them saying, hey, why don't we move whichever public holidays we have to the nearest Friday or Monday so
Thank
that we
you.
don't disrupt the week? Do you guys
Hmm.
understand how the economy works? Do you understand what struggles people have for transport and things, how you interrupt if they live in a certain place, they work in another place, it can really get in people's way. And they don't use a public holiday if it's the middle of the week anyway. And I
Yeah.
never got a reply, so I'm not surprised.
Well, this
Anyway,
is me just like
yeah.
confirming that you are on the right track. That was a great idea. I think a public holiday on a Wednesday, it dom or Thursday or Tuesday, they all
So
like
we've
if it's
got
not on a Monday or a Friday, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't because it's like,
Well, I mean, the
okay,
argument from some people is that you don't move Easter and you don't move a Christmas. And I reckon, you know what? I don't think that that's the biggest deal. I mean, in December in particular, I don't think people are going to be terribly upset to take an extra day or two here or there. But in the rest of the year, so we've got 12 public holidays in South Africa. If
mhm.
we split them up so we had one a month, and at the end of every month you get a long weekend, I think people would be much happier.
Deaths. And with the Easter one, that one is always like on a Friday and a
That's
Monday.
always
So
a
I'm not
Friday anyway.
complaining. I'm not complaining about Easter. I'm just saying that public holidays that are just slap bang
Mm.
in the middle of the week. Because
So,
what do?
mm,
You can't go out, you can't party
yeah.
because Tuesday you at work and then you're gonna go out with friends, and then Wednesday you still have to like maybe just make sure you've completed the work that you didn't finish on Tuesday for Thursday. So you're still working. You're not guys, doesn't make
It's a
sense.
waste.
I'm
It's a waste.
complaining.
George Mienie says, I think South Africa has too many public holidays. Look, we can sit here and debate this stuff, and I do think George is right. We do have too many. I don't think we need all these public holidays, but I do think we need this one at this time. I think people are a little bit hurtful. It's coming towards the end of the year. We haven't had one for a little while. I think they need it. So just don't worry. Take it next Wednesday if you can. If you're one of those people who works for yourself, sorry. This is amazing. Mapelo says there's a movie on Netflix about a company where poor people can sell their years to rich people for a lot of money.
Oh.
So imagine if you could sell, let's say you knew you were going to live 100 years and you only wanted to live to 80. You could take those remaining 20 years and in time you could sell them to someone. Let's say you sold them for I don't know, R1 million a year. That's 20 million rand if you wanted to live to 80. You know?
I like that. I like the fact that you could kind of swap, but here's the pickle in the mix where as the poor person, you start off poor, right? So you start off with the 20 years that you're gonna sell. You then become rich. And what do rich people do? They live their best life. So are you not then in that same predicament of that rich person who might have cancer at the age of 50 and now you're like, no, I need more years. So you buy.
If you can sell your years, you can probably buy them back, but you'll buy them back for a lot more. Because if you think about it, the person you sold it to thinks they got a good deal. They'll sell it back to you at 2 million. So you'll have to spend 40 million getting your 20 years back.
Yeah. What if the math is not mathing there? I don't like that anymore.
And no, well, you see, this is the point, right? So this just proves again that there is some kind of fairness in the world, because there's always going to be stuff that you have, whether you're rich or poor, that you can't give money, you can't pay money for, and there's always going to be stuff that you can buy and sell. And you should value the things that you can't buy and sell a lot more than the other stuff. Your health, the amount of time you have on earth, the human connections that you make in your life, that kind of shit. Which people go, oh, well, no, if I could sell that for 20 million. And you're like, that's not the greatest deal, because once you're on the other side of that, now you got 20 million, but what? Suddenly you're out of time.
But I saw like a question that someone had posed, and they were like, would you rather, was it a would you rather? But it's one of those where, would you take R1 million up front, or take a penny and that's doubled every day for the next 30 days? And the answer fascinated me.
The answer is the penny, right?
Yes, because after they did all the calculations, by the end of the month, you actually had more than R1 million, and it was going to be a better deal than the million. And sometimes it's just like the quick fixes are not always the answer to life. And I think it's one of those situations as well, is that you might be able to sell off, the years, but you're still going to be in the same predicament as the rich guy who needs those years back. So don't do it.
But it is an interesting concept to explore. I mean, I think it's fascinating. If you knew you had 100 years, but you also knew that the last 10 years would be, old age. You'd be tired. You'd be slow. You wouldn't necessarily enjoy your life as much. You wouldn't be as physically fit. All of that stuff, and you could sell the time, not the state of your being, but the time. I mean, it would be an interesting dilemma for some people. Some people are so into money that they would sell everything and they'd have like 20 years, because there are people like that. There's some people who are so greedy, they would sell every year, or they'd start off selling 10 years and then they'd run out of money and they'd need more money. So they'd start selling a year at a time to buy themselves stuff. And then they'd suddenly realize, oh shit, I've only got a year left to live.
Yeah. But I think but if you knew you had a year to live, you'd just wreak havoc. So I think it works out in someone's.
Oh, by the way, Mapelo says, no, if you're 20, this is how it works. If you're 20 and you sell 15 years, you actually become 35 on the spot. That's
the plot twist then. Then do I really want to sell off my 20 years?
Wow. And the rich 50-year-old becomes 35. Imagine that. So they would have the ability to actually instantaneously reduce. Someone comes in, they donate their 10 years, and suddenly you're 10 years younger because you paid for those 10 years. Wow. That is a fascinating concept.
So this actually this works out for the rich dude then. Because he's 50, has money, he gets younger, can still carry on to make more money too. Whereas the poor person hasn't necessarily gained the skill set. He's 20, becomes 40, has money, but what do you do with it? Hey, okay,
Wow.
this is interesting now. I like this. What's the name of the movie?
Very cool concept. I mean, I think that's such a clever idea. Imagine if you could do that.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay. I mean, this is mind-boggling. I'm actually going to spend the whole weekend imagining this kind of world and what might happen, because to explore that, to think about what human behavior would how people would change the way they behave. I mean, we would probably respect life a lot more, because you wouldn't have people stabbing each other. You'd have people trying to steal life from each other in terms of time. But you can only do that consensually, I would imagine. So you can only
but you can coerce people to kind of buy into
it, right?
So
I'm thinking horrible people, really bad people, would find ways to coerce people out of their time. Is that possible? I mean, Mapelo, you've watched this movie. I've got to watch this. It sounds fascinating.
I think that's what's possible. I think I definitely think that's what's possible, because they would come in with the expertise. Because what we're looking at is, you have a 50-year-old who's done life. So they know, the tricks, the tips, how to get people to go their way. And once they've bought the 10 or 15 years, he's now 35, still, I'm presuming, still has the mindset that he had when he was 50. So it's just a continual thing of like, once he's 35, gets to 50 again. This is crazy because
I mean, it does mean you could live forever. So if you were let's say you're a rich man right now, you're like an 80-year-old, because most of the world's really rich people are very old, right? So you've got like billions of dollars. So all you do is you go on the stock market, because now people will be listing their lives there, and you buy like 150 years, and suddenly you go back to being whatever age you like, because you do it in increments. So you can keep some, and you say, all right, I want to be 25 for the next 100 years. Wouldn't that be wild? And then you'd have enough money to pay for it, obviously.
Oh, the havoc that would be taking, the amount of not, like, why are you taking life seriously? Like, why? You'd be doing 25 for the fourth year now, and you're just not serious. You're not serious about anything.
Okay, so Simphiwe, if it comes down to it, though, what is more precious? Because I think people would pay an absolute fortune for time if they could get it back. If you could make yourself younger, no doubt people would value a year of someone's life, even someone whose life is horrible. Just objectively, a year would suddenly be way more valuable than $1 million. I wonder what the average going rate for a year would be, because it doesn't matter where it comes from, right? Everybody's years are the same. Everybody's number of years, let's say there's an average, the average cost for a year would be the same. I wonder how that would change our concept of value and of money. It's extraordinary. Wow. What an idea.
Okay.
I wonder what Ben thinks of this. Is he sitting down?
Yes, he is.
How's it, Ben? How's it? Just turn up his mic there, Simphiwe. Ben, did you hear the story?
No, I literally just sat down and I've been wrestling with this headphone set to know if it's got enough slack for me.
So just quickly, here's the idea. Mapelo was telling us about this movie he's just seen, where you could buy someone's years from them. So let's say you have
how much?
Let's say arbitrarily R1 million will get you 10 years from somebody. I mean, that's not the value, because I think it would be a lot more expensive. But can you imagine you shell out $1 million right now, and somebody gives you 10 of their years. You instantly become 10 years younger. They instantly become 10 years older, but they have your money.
Yeah, that's so tough to get the other side. Because
if
you get older, definitely not worth that money.
Well, if you're a poor person, let's say the cost of the 10 years is 20 million rand.
Yeah, if your life is really, really cucked like a bad movie, it's never going to really get better. At least you now got 10 million rand. Okay,
Correct.
I see it that way. Yeah.
So I'm thinking this will recalibrate the way that we see everything, because suddenly everyone's years are worth the same, right? Because a year is a year is a year. Doesn't matter where it comes from. So we all have that, which is the same. So it's like almost a socialist utopia because everyone's years count for the same. But the rich people can buy as many years as they want. You could effectively be 25 years old for the rest of your life if you have enough money. And your life could be very long.
To look at it very simplistically, that's just basically also a way of making the poor live very short lives because they're going to be desperate, right? People who have no money. And it's like, if you talk about class divides, this is a real way of ramping it up.
Are we really dividing it? Because if you are then the poor person that becomes rich, you on the different, you 35 now or 50, but you 50 with 20 million now. So it's money, change.
So the money,
you're right. Sorry, I've got slow morning brain kicking in here, just joining the dots. But then there would be old rich,
I mean, it would be, there'd almost be two separate economies here. There'd be the economy of time and there'd be the economy of everything else. So people would still be able to trade and open little shops and do the things that they're trying to do in this life at the moment, but you'd always have a reserve of cash in your years. So
it'd be amazing how
you needed money desperately, you could like sell a year at a time, to, I don't know, pay for your makeup addiction or whatever it is. But I do think this is a fascinating idea. Mapelo, you've ruined my whole morning. I'm going to be thinking about this all weekend.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. What a really cool concept. Reminds me a bit of a movie that Justin Timberlake was in a while ago, where everything, where time costs money. So you would go to work and you get paid in like 7 times.
Oh.
And then you'd have that go onto your wrist. Everyone had these like wrist monitors. And then if you run out of time, so if you run out of like time, you run out of money and you die. So you got to keep doing ways. Like I'm on the show right now, right? And you as Cliff Central deem that to be a value of 7 units of time. So my time giving you here, being half asleep and relatively entertaining, I get this unit of time back.
Sure.
If I do it every day, I can accumulate that.
Okay.
I would love to do that.
So we've got to talk about Lizzo because we brought it up yesterday, what she's actually being charged with by these dancers who work for her, and it's frightening and horrifying. I didn't realize how scary this is.
Lizzo was already frightening and horrifying.
I know. And now she's even more terrifying because she's been forcing her backup dancers to eat bananas out of vaginas and to be felt up against their consent and a whole lot of other really gross things. I mean, she seems to me like the ultimate nightmare boss. And of course, she has come out now to say that they're all lying. She said they're all talking nonsense. Yeah. They're just trying to get money out of Lizzo.
Guys, I can tell you they're not lying right now, because who makes up bananas out of vaginas? I've got a weird sort of sense of humor and a dark mind. I will not make that up on the spot as a gripe against an employer. They are not lying. You cannot make that up.
Well, there has been some old interview footage where she was at a radio station and she was like, where's that strip club where they put like bananas up people's vaginas? So that conversation took place in like 2019. And now this is coming out, ma'am. I don't think that aged well. I think there is some truth in the matter.
Yeah, where there's smoke, there's an internally massive barbecue for Lizzo. And as the saying goes. But also, like, she's got the audacity of firing people because they're gaining weight.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, that actually made me mad, because if there's one person who's been very vocal about we should be all like accepting and body positivity and body accepting, she has no reason to judge anybody for gaining weight, losing weight. Like, I am a big girl, but ma'am, what you've also put us through, we've had to see your bum when you go on the jets because you don't want to get dressed and you want to, like, I'm sexy and I know it, great. And now you're going to judge other girls for gaining 5 kilograms. Who are you? Stop it.
Well, Ricky says, damn, I would love to see the people she fat shame.
Like that was crazy. I'm so mad at that. I'm really mad at that. And Lizzo, we've given up on you. Even if I was a Lizzo fan, it's done. And what's also funny is that her celebrity friends have kind of dropped her. Beyonce had a song where she mentioned in one of the remixes, she mentions Lizzo's name, and because she's currently on tour, guess what? As she was performing, when it was time to mention Lizzo's name, it went oops, silence.
Oh,
wow!
really?
And if the cult of Beyonce doesn't have your back anymore,
it's done.
Yeah, but can we also use this monumental moment to actually finally put an end to this body positivity bullshit? It's unhealthy. You basically courting diabetes, hypertension, all these kind of things. Don't tell me this is body positive, because you can't use those words. Like, words must mean something again. Lizzo has just shat over the word positive for so long now that, I mean, can we just call a spade with these things? We've really got to stop pandering to all this bullshit, which make no sense, because we might hurt someone's feelings.
I'm on board, Ben. You've got my vote.
Like, it's enough now. Really, it's enough. None of this is getting anybody anywhere other than stupidity, ignorance, and ultimately early death. So if you want to die early, then great. If that's your modus operandi, great. But as someone who cares about other people, which I sadly or weirdly do, can we stop with this nonsense now? Again, just stop nonsense. It's not healthy.
If it was someone you really loved or cared about, you would never tolerate them doing this unless you were a complete psychopath.
And don't try to tell other people that it's like this. Enough.
Yeah, well, also, I do agree with you in terms of, like, let's use words for what they really mean. Let's just get back to that. Let's not invent terms that are not only politically correct terms. A lot of these are euphemisms and actually mean the opposite of what people are saying. So I think you're exactly right. All right. And we'll talk in a moment about some cults and things. But I brought up at the beginning of the show something very, very cool that happened this week. And you even commented on my sharing of the video on Instagram, Ben. But I think everyone in South Africa felt a little bit more excited than they usually do when they saw Banyana win on Wednesday, because it was a really, really good win. I'm not going to take anything away from them. I've been very critical of women's sport in general because I think that it's been hyped up by the media to a point where it doesn't match the enthusiasm. You know, the media's enthusiasm's up here. The public enthusiasm was always there. This was an opportunity where it actually seemed to have leveled out a bit. And I give all the credit to the Banyana team, to their coach, and to South Africans who've supported them along the way. And that didn't include me. But everybody was excited, not only because they were playing and they were playing well and they were winning, but also because they put money on it. And that brings us to Beyond the Scoreboard. With Ben this morning, we're going to check in on some of the stories in the sport. So go ahead, Ben, take us through this week.
Yeah, well done, guys. You did bet on Banyana because that was a high-pressure game here. They had to win, and then they were down, and they had to score. And ultimately, Gareth, you know, to your point, it's like sport is entertainment, right? So I'm not going to say women's sport isn't better or worse or whatever. It's just it's not what I gravitate towards normally, but it's entertaining, and it's great to see everyone getting involved now because that is what sports people do. They make us feel happier about our lives, which often suck during the week. But I tell you what, we're at Friday now, and Friday is obviously a much better time to be a person. So let's get into the FIFA Women's World Cup, which is this weekend. So we're into the knockout phases. Now, the big thing is here that Germany are not here. Second best team in the world is always Germany, USA, always vying for that top spot. They are gone. Their coach said this was a devastating blah, blah, blah. You know, because they have to, because if they say, oh, well, tough shit, then they're going to get fired or people won't think they're doing the job. So we got Switzerland women taking on Spain women, Japan women versus Norway women Saturday, 7 and then 10 o'clock, those two games. Banyana will be playing against the Netherlands. Who are the Netherlands? Well, I think they're the 9th best team in the world. They won their group. So they'll be taking on Banyana Sunday, 4 a.m., followed by Sweden women and USA women. So, I mean, look, if you like the early rise, this is the high-stakes stuff, right? This is it. And then on Monday and Tuesday, there's so much here.
You couldn't wish for a worse time to be playing for a South African audience to watch you than 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's rough because if you're playing it, they're on the far right-hand side. Well, people will be watching now, Gareth, because they've built up a head of steam. So if you are going to look at the betting here, well, obviously the Banyana team is massive underdogs. I mean, they're, I think, ranked 54th in the world. So again, they're huge underdogs, but this is knockout football now, right? So Netherlands, they're huge favorites. They're probably going to steamroll them in the theory, but knockout football is a special thing. So that is what to look forward to in the FIFA Women's World Cup. Heading on to the Netball World Cup or the Hunger Games, if you really want to look at it. You know,
they won yesterday.
They have not stopped playing this, Simphiwe. They literally, they started playing on Friday, and it's like they are literally, it's the Hunger Games. They've had one rest day.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
How mad is this tournament?
Have you seen how, so I've been following the netball and Banyana, and it's exciting. Like, SA's been doing really, really great. They come back, was phenomenal against New Zealand, and then yesterday they won against Uganda. So I'm like, let's go.
So it's been up and up, right?
Yes.
But they're not going to win the tournament.
Don't say that.
Well, exactly.
Don't say that.
So during the whole Hunger Games netball format is that you basically play until someone somehow keeps track of what's going on here. But we had to beat Uganda by about 64 goals yesterday. So that's a bit of a tall order, right? Didn't happen.
It didn't happen. It was like 52-50.
Yeah, so now it looks like we're competing for 5th and 6th. So there's endless games all the way through to Sunday, okay? Endless games. The next game for South African netball there is Tonga tonight at 6 o'clock. So like I said, the best they can do is 5th or 6th. That was a bit of a downer, huh?
Sorry about that. But
I mean, sorry about that.
Again, these are opportunities for people to put bets down, and I don't know. I mean, like, what would you bet on so far in this weekend's lineup, Ben?
Well, Gareth, we're getting to that right now. Ever the impatient man are you? There are 9 international rugby games on Saturday. 9 international rugby teams doing their countries proud from 4 a.m. all the way through to the Bokke at 9:10. 9 international matches. So if you like rugby, obviously World Cup rugby, yeah, it is the year of the World Cups because they do a bit of it in cricket as well. We'll get to that in October. So Samoa versus Tonga, 4 a.m. Now, if you've been getting into the habit of waking up at 4 a.m. for Banyana games, well, I've got a treat for you here because you can watch big South Sea Island men bashing out of each other. Australia will take a dicking against New Zealand at 4:35. Eddie Jones obviously doubling down on all kinds of comments, just try to hype his team up, who have 0 chance against New Zealand. Then we got Japan versus Fiji, Scotland versus France, Wales versus England, Romania versus USA, Uruguay versus Namibia, Ireland versus Italy, and then Argentina versus the Springboks. So if you do want to make a bit of a fun bet this week, go to Superbet's site right now. Another great thing about going onto the site is that you can also see the weekend sports fixtures. So if you want to know what's happening in the sport you like, click your sport, and there we go. So there are 9 matches there. Go and make a huge multiplier. Pick all the ones you think are really, really going to win. Put a multiplier down on that. Your odds will increase, and you put something on that. Or you can just, obviously bet on the Bokke winning, but they're away in Argentina. It's going to be a toughie. I'm not incredibly excited after the Ellis Park match last week, which we sort of dribbled off a 1-point victory. But, then again, it's World Cup season here. And you can one thing you can say about the Boks is that they're not like New Zealand who play great every single match. They'll hang out, they'll do this, do a bit of that. Then they come to the World Cup and they will eat your grandma. So don't get too upset if they don't play too well in this game like they played last week. They're priming themselves for the big show. And the big show is what we're here for every single Friday.
So where are South Africa playing Argentina here again? South Africa?
No, in Argentina.
Argentina, okay.
So make a big trek out to Argentina. So that's why they're playing at 9 o'clock at night.
Okay, got you. Right, that's something to watch. I think I'm going to go with the rugby, hey? I think I'm going to do that.
So just have a cursory look on that multiplier I was talking about.
That's what I'm doing now, yeah.
Again, when you're on the site, you get the odds to kind of see who's been doing what. If you really want to take it further, go have a look at the form guides and previews online. And this is where sport becomes fun because it isn't just about the Oaks kicking off. You get to understand the sort of textures that you can see form guides, you see team names, like whose combinations are being tried out this week. Is there a coach who's having an absolute shocker like Eddie Jones? Sport is endlessly layered. And when it comes down to putting money down onto it, suddenly those layers make a lot more sense to you.
Got you. That's my plan for the weekend, and I hope I don't lose money again like we did 2 weeks ago. All right.
Well, even if you do, Gareth, it won't be as bad as being a Somalian sprinter in the World University Games.
Oh my God! Please tell the story. This is absolutely incredible.
Sprinting is amazing, right? If you want to take the most apex pinnacle of humankind, take a sprinter. Their bodies are just ridiculous. Then this frumpy Somalian lady rocks up And she's like, yay, I'm at this thing, gets into the start blocks, everyone starts, everyone runs. She sort of just if you're a good sprinter, you're probably going to run in like 11, 12 seconds at that level for the women's, right? Obviously, the men who run in women's races run a bit faster, but this woman finished it in 2 seconds, I think. Like 22 seconds. So it turns out, I mean, there's obviously a lot more to the story, but it turns out like she knew someone in the sports department who basically granted her permission to go do this.
Ah, she's a South African, that one.
It sounds like she just wanted a free holiday to China. It's like, I want to go to China. Okay, well, run the 100 meters.
She must speak the truth. She's South African. Like, she knows how to just...
You know, like, I don't know if it happened in your school, but you'd have these like sports days, and then like the parents would have a race, or be like an old boy drunk race or whatever. And then it's a laugh because the person's not appropriately dressed, they can't move dynamically, and then they go for this run, and everyone's like, oh shit, look how fun this is. One of them falls, the other one's chased by a kid. That's what it looked like.
I love it. All right, well, go beyond the scoreboard. You can find it all on cliffcentral.com, and you will find a 50 Rand free bet when you sign up for Super Bets. Click the banner on the right-hand side of the page. You cannot go wrong. It's easy. Simphiwe and I have never done this before, and we've started doing it now, and we love it. Super Bets supports responsible gambling, strictly no under 18s. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Free toll-free foundation hotline is 0800 006 008. So if you need any help with that, call them there. Just watch this to see what it can do for you if you start doing this like we have, and how it can get you excited about stuff that you never thought you'd get excited about. Just watch some videos. Yes, the joys
passionate man embrace. You see the passionate man embrace there.
And Simphiwe, what did you do? You turned 100 Rand into like 600 Rand.
Yeah, bo. You see, now we are invested, and we're just like, let's go. We have some money put there, and we watched the game in the office. It was exhilarating. The girls did well. I'm excited about the next match. I don't know if I'll be up at 4. So, we'll see.
Right. Ben, you wanted to talk about cults that we don't really talk about, but there are cults going on. You mentioned the cult of Beyonce just now. That's a cult. I mean, people worship her. They call themselves the Bayhive or whatever it is. Is that what you're talking about?
There's even
Yeah,
a church.
yeah, exactly. There's a church, yeah. So if that doesn't qualify for a cult, I don't know what is. There's also, there are cults around sport. I mean, you know, MMA, you could say, has become a bit of a cult, right?
Well, the whole thing about a cult is that you lack reason, right? You lack objective thought. You don't ever question anything. I mean, I think we should first define what a cult is. MMA is something that people get behind because they're hugely passionate about it, and it's exciting, and it gets into their primal urges. But I mean, I think there's just been there's a lot of cults out there I don't think that ever get recognized as cults. You know, like we realized this week that the greatest cult in this country is the EFF. It doesn't get,
that's a cult.
It doesn't get classified as one, which I think is quite dangerous, because if you want to be a cult, go ahead. We live in a place where you have freedom of speech and all that kind of stuff. And I back you for it, because that's how you find your true self. But you can't just masquerade as something else. You know, when people, it's like, if you're a guy who want to be in women's sport, you know, that kind of nonsense. Call it what it is. You're a loser trying to be a winner somewhere else where you don't belong. And it's the same thing with cults. And, you know, we went through a stage where people would like, oh, well, that's a cult, you know, it's very dangerous. And then now we stopped doing that. But people are still making cults. But why are we now stopping saying that, like, they're dangerous? Like, Lizzo was basically running a bit of a cult. And now these people are in absolute turmoil because they've had to eat bananas out of vaginas. So I just really think that we got to start calling things what they are again, like the cults. If cults start getting into our world and they're getting normalized, then it's a very dangerous place for people.
But there's a lot of things that are normalized that I don't think should be normalized, and I think that's the issue. That's the big issue that we're facing as a society, is that there's too many things. Before it was so simple, it was black and white, and now there's a whole entire rainbow.
But now we're suddenly back to the shame bell, right? Because that's also something we spoke about last week. And and I think if things were more shameful, if there was a price you paid for joining these cults, then maybe people wouldn't join them in such a hurry.
Well, again, it goes back to the whole thing about accountability, is that when you realize that you're a cult, you've got to do better. You can't just be left there and go, okay, well, you're a cult, so be it. Like, no, there's no so be it with cults. They're very dangerous things, and people do get hurt.
All right. So what do you think? I mean, what are the most dangerous cults that you're most worried about? Because, I mean, the Bayhive is not going to go around like with pickaxes murdering people who are not Beyonce supporters. If you were in a, let's say some sort of Lizzo cult, some body positivity thing, I don't think they're going to cause as much damage. Maybe the EFF cult is a little bit more dangerous. What other cults what do you think we need to look at carefully?
Well, I think global warming is also becoming a bit of a cult, because you can't question those things anymore. You know, there was the whole cult of the pandemic because you weren't allowed to question that.
Start that again. I don't know why that came up.
I just think that we should be putting into classification anything that doesn't allow for free speech and questioning is actually a cult. And people will say, oh, but you got to trust this and trust this. But if it's so blind, then it's a cult, unfortunately. See how people like that word being used. This is where I'm going with this. If someone doesn't like that word being used, then you also know it's a cult.
I think when people get really uptight about being criticized, then you should start worrying too. That's maybe a sign of it. I'm not entirely sure. So how about this? We mentioned MMA as a cult. So Mark Zuckerberg, he's apparently obsessed with MMA. He's built an octagon in his backyard, but his wife does not seem thrilled about this. So the story is that Zuckerberg shared a WhatsApp message between the couple in an Instagram post on Wednesday, in which he asked, "Do you see the octagon I put in my backyard?" "Yes, I saw it," she responded, to which he said, "It looks awesome." But she appeared to disagree and responded, "I've been working on that grass for 2 years.
That's so funny.
He posted the exchange along with a question: "What's the play?" with the options: keep the octagon or save the grass. Zuckerberg said he'd become an MMA machine after taking up the sport during the pandemic. The 39-year-old has been competing in and winning multiple jiu-jitsu tournaments and has been coached by some of the sport's biggest pros, including Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt Dave Camarillo. So what do we think of this?
Save the grass. Don't be such an asshole. Save the grass. What's wrong with you?
Firstly, not a cult, passion. And secondly, is there not 10 square meters in Meta where he can throw this into? Or does he want to try and impress his wife in this primal display of, look at me, I can now fight stuffs?
Shame,
She's not impressed by anything he does. So save the grass.
She's not impressed by anything. Not anymore. The novelty's gone.
My standard response with Mark Zuckerberg is always like he's trying to pretend to be more human. So he's put out I'm going to make a poll question so humans think I have a normal relationship where I bicker with my wife. That's what I would have said. But I kind of feel like he's actually found something he loves, and he just wants to share that. And his wife is actually pissed off with him. And this is a way for him to kind of, like any guy would, say to their friends when their wife's around, can you believe how angry she got about this? It's so silly, isn't it? Almost trying to make her feel less anti his MMA thing. And then I also think like we give Elon Musk a free pass for being crazy and wacky and weird and having all those different girlfriends and those different children and his bizarre ideas about X, Y, and Z. But we're so mean to Mark Zuckerberg just because he's geeky and he's not as cool.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between the two of them. Elon is a lot more sort of oriented towards free speech and like being accountable to certain things, taking different opinions. Zuckerberg let the FBI or CIA or whatever just control his channels. And he's also not human, Gareth.
Yeah.
So in other words,
I mean,
we're going to side with Priscilla Chan on this and save the grass, like Simphiwe said. Is that what we're going to do?
Obvious. Like, it's such an obvious thing. Like, why? Like, I don't know. Sometimes men actually like problems in their lives, right? This is your wife.
Well,
let's start there.
Getting married was the first part of that, probably, as people would say.
This is your wife. And she found something that, makes her happy. And in a matter of minutes, you destroyed it. I don't care who you are, she's going to be pissed. Like any woman would be pissed. So for the sake of peace in your household, just restore the grass and build your whatever that you are into somewhere else. I don't want to hear about it.
It
You can
also
do
just
that.
seems like a terrible place to build it because, okay, they're in LA, so it doesn't rain that much. But outdoors, this is a terrible place for this. Go indoors. You don't get sunburned.
But also, guys, like you would think Zuckerberg, with all his billions, would have enough space to put up his wife's lawn and an MMA octagon. And he could probably put it in like some basement 3 levels down that no one would even know about. It seems like such a dumb thing for rich people to be arguing about.
But to have this at home also, because then you got guys rocking up who are going to struggle cuddle with him. And then she has to go, there's a sweaty man. There's another sweaty man.
Yeah, you see the issue with home is that his status is there. He's Mark Zuckerberg there.
Yes.
Here in this house, you are Mark. And we're living together. I'm your wife, and I don't want random oaks in my house. That's the conversation. You can't be Mark over there. In this house, we're equals. Get rid of that thing.
Okay, unanimous then. Unanimous.
All right, so save the grass. We're all agreed. So we're all agreed. All right, very good.
You really reckon that these two are going to actually have a fight? Because that just seems like the stupidest idea ever. And Zuckerberg's clearly going to win. He's younger. He's like obsessed with this. He's cold-blooded. I mean, like, it's just so many things in his favor here.
Yeah. No, 100%. Can Zuck fight a real MMA fighter like Drickus so someone could take him out for good? Well, that would be fun, Sanele. I couldn't agree more. Like, I'd like to see that, but it's not going to happen.
No.
I do have to give credit to someone. I hate giving celebrities from Hollywood credit, but this one's doing God's work.
Oh.
Because Leah Remini, you remember her? She used to be in King and Queens, and she was a moderately successful star for a while, but then she turned against the Church of Scientology. Remember?
Yes.
Ooh.
She dropped a whole documentary, didn't she?
Cult.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She got out of that cult. So she has taken legal action against the leader of the Church of Scientology, David. You spell it Miscavige, but people pronounce it Muscovy, for harassment and defamation. The actress joined the church in 1979 as a child, and she left in 2013. She's 53 now. She claims Scientology's mob-style operations and attacks have significantly impacted her life and career. In a statement released to Variety, she said, "For 17 years, Scientology has subjected me to what I believe is psychological torture, defamation, surveillance, harassment, and intimidation." See, Ben, cults significantly impacting my life and career. I believe I'm not the first person to be targeted by this church and its operations. I intend to be the last. According to the press release, she is going to file this lawsuit, and any entity that the Church of Scientology controls and funds, that they must cease and desist their alleged practice of harassment and other unlawful conduct against anyone who Scientology has labeled an enemy. So this is going to get ugly, and that's good. Let them reveal their true colors. I'm just going to say again, there are brave people, and Leah Remini is among those brave people. Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. Again, if it was called a cult from the start, she wouldn't have been so captured, and they wouldn't have had the freedom to capture her.
Isn't this David Muscovy's wife still missing? She just disappeared. Conveniently for him, she just disappeared a few years ago. No one seems to know what happened to her, and nobody asks any questions. So I'm interested. There's this movie, The Sound of Freedom, which is gaining traction. It's coming out in cinemas in South Africa. Everybody's talking about it, despite the fact that the mainstream media are ignoring it, pretending it's not a thing. I see in the comments,
that
Sweet
movie
Pea
spills the tea.
Yeah,
That's
correct. Sweet Pea says Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg are calling out Hollywood now. And Ben, you've been saying Hollywood's full of pedophiles for years, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why it was created. It was just a pedophile ring. And, it's great because those guys both have money, so they can call out Hollywood. But if you still need to make money, you've still got to do things. And when it comes to doing things in Hollywood, well, you don't want to talk about those things.
Hollyweird. That's what it is. They do weird things all the time. And
Yeah.
they're like, let's normalize this nonsense.
No, but it is good. See, like, this is the thing. We've touched on something here. We start calling things what they are, then everyone's the wiser. Everyone lives better.
We've had an excellent first hour. Make sure you don't miss the next one. It's 7 o'clock, cliffcentral.com. Stick around for a whole lot more.
This week on the Auto Trader Podcast.
Cruise control,
Doesn't really do well with icy roads. Okay, I mean, there's other things to worry about when you're driving in colder weather. So one thing is your braking is obviously going to be impacted quite substantially, especially when the road gets extremely cold and starts getting icy. So just watch out for your braking then.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Every time you listen to that 80s show, Tom Cruise lives another 10 years. Every Friday on CliffCentral.com, Paolo and Dory review movies, reminisce about old songs, remember childhood places that are now car parks, and say some outrageously rude things about Patrick Swayze's brother. That 80s show, new episode every Friday, live or as a podcast on CliffCentral.com.
All right. Good morning, Friday, and the end of a pretty hectic week. I think you're all going to be thrilled. Everybody should be that next Wednesday is a public holiday, although Simphiwe and I are still confused as to what you do with that public holiday because it falls in the middle of the week. Irritating. But today we're ready for the weekend. It also, and I don't want to jinx it, but it is warming up a little bit. So, before you blink, it's going to be the end of August, and then it'll all be a thing of the past, this horribly cold winter.
Well, Gareth, you know how it goes. It gets lighter, everyone gets high hopes, and then your birthday comes, and it just drops back to freezing. And then after your birthday, then it's spring.
Yeah. Well, can I just quickly share this video? I know we spoke about Julius Malema, but like South Africans are a different breed of people. I love them to bits because now they've created a Julius Malema challenge on TikTok. So the iconic moment as Julius Malema is speaking and, he's going up like the stage. There's now construction workers kind of playing that sound and then doing
Let us be one thing. So let us love our continent. Let us fight for our continent. Let Africa one day realize its own freedom. Let Africa one day stand on its own feet. Make sure that South Africa...
And there's so many other videos with like the truck things that I've seen. And I'm like, guys, we don't take anything seriously. We don't take anything.
Yeah, but you can't take that guy seriously. Everything about that guy is a contrived piece of nonsense. Come on.
But I think that's so cool.
I would put all my faith in the guy in the truck there ahead of Julius.
I think you're right. Yeah, I would too. So listen, I mean, it is amazing to me. Like, we do have a sense of humor about even the most ridiculous and terrible things. But But if you're going to spend time online, and I know I go down these rabbit holes, I've already shared my embarrassing addiction to the pneumatic press videos where they squash things.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those things so much. You know, I can never scroll past it without stopping and watching the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday they were doing it to dice, you know, like dice that you throw.
Yeah.
They put a whole bunch of them together and they just shatter. And then there were some plastic balls or something, and those just squirt and like squeeze, and then they put like a garage pie, and that's disgusting because you see what comes out of a garage.
All that zebra just oozing out the sides.
Zebra and the pigeon's feet and all of that stuff.
Oh.
But Gareth, I think there's a new kind of trend that's taken over where it's like the person's at the top of the stairs. We don't see who the person is. And then they kind of just like drop various bottles to see if it's going to break or not. And it started off with like, it started off with like alcohol bottles, and we're like, and then now they're doing, like random food glass bottles, and it's fascinating. I watch those now. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna break. Oh yeah, it's breaking. It's gonna break after 2 seconds.
you almost want to bet on which step it's gonna break. So the first one I saw, because now clearly I'm also watching this shit and wasting my time. Wasting, we talked about how you could buy a year for $1 million one day or whatever. I've probably wasted 10, 20 good hours watching bullshit like this on the internet over the last couple of years. So they started off with this basement staircase, and at the bottom there's just, like it seems like an open space. Anyway, they take originally, like obviously very fragile glass bottles, like a perfume bottle, for example. It goes boom, 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 and then it cracks on the third step. Then they do like a bottle of milk, for example. It goes boom, boom, boom. It goes like 5 more steps, and then on the last one, it spins up, and you see it goes too high, so it cracks. I mean, it's really fun. It's like almost, there's that unpredictability about a rugby ball, right? If it lands on the point or on the flat side or whatever. It's the same with these things. And you just find yourself mesmerized by this shit. Mesmerized.
Well, absolutely. Like your pneumatic press thing, have you got to the point of seeing how much one costs? They're quite expensive, right?
No.
Because I can imagine at some stage you're going to go, there it is. I bought one now. Come around to your house. Oh, you got to see this. Like I give you a gift and you put it straight away into the press and go, that's brilliant. Thank you for this gift, which I've now crushed.
But you imagine being the person who does own the press. I mean, we also shared that video the other day of the Australian girl who goes to shit in public toilets.
Yeah, but that's a public service. But she's not making content. She's changing lives.
But isn't it amazing how people find their little niche on the internet? This was impossible before. There was no way that a slightly overweight Australian girl with black hair and a not very pretty face could ever become as famous as she's become. And I saw, since we last spoke about her, she's gained like an extra 10,000 followers. I'm thinking it's all the people who listen to the show who are suddenly really following her.
She's probably gained about 20 restraining orders because she just goes and keeps dropping loads in places. But this whole thing about finding your niche, and like we always think that, these people are wasting their time, they're doing this, they're doing that. But it's just that maybe they're just tired of talking to like boring people, and the internet has given everybody an out from making small talk. So this woman might have had to go hang out with people her similar age and bowel movement type, and they would say polite things and do like drinks or brunch or some shit. And she's like, actually, you know what? This is boring. I'm going to go take shits in art galleries and I'm going to film it. And she's probably making a better life choice, because the other one, sitting around other girls bitching about boyfriends and getting fat in winter, and she's like, no, I'm out. I don't need this. I'm going to go make just drop big turds in nice places.
No.
Because if I were to say, I'd be a hypocrite to say that I always be around people, interact with people is much better. Sometimes it's very boring. It really is.
I do agree.
It's things that they do in their spare time that they took videos of, and now we loving it. It's like also follow this guy who will do like these races with different marbles, and it's like you watch and you watch things like that, and he's just like having fun on his own. And now I've bought into it, and I'm like, when's the next video?
Have you seen these? Have you seen these incredible people who do these domino things where they will have like 6 rooms in their house that are full of dominoes? I mean, it must take them like 4 days to set that up.
I get mad at those.
And you know, sometimes it doesn't always, because if you've ever done dominoes, you could sometimes do a corner, for example, doesn't fall properly, and then the whole thing's ruined. So these people get it absolutely right, and it's an incredible thing. It's a work of art. There's no other way to say it. Even if it's stupid to some people, I think it's a work of art. I also think that this is probably why, and I'm surprised, this could be good news for Britain, though. The UK has seen its traditional TV viewing record declines in the number of people who are watching TV. This is very interesting. So Ofcom, which is like their, I suppose, their Independent Broadcast Association or whatever it is, a regulator. Traditional TV viewing in the UK has seen the sharpest ever decline over the past year, according to Ofcom. The Broadcasting Watchdog's annual report into viewing and listening habits showed the proportion of people who tune in to TV every week was down from 83% in 2021 to 79% in 2022, and it keeps dropping precipitously. They reckon
will keep dropping.
Yeah, of course. So a similar decline was evident in the average time viewers spend watching TV, down by 12% from 2 hours and 59 minutes to 2 hours 38 minutes. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you take it over the next 5 years, I reckon somewhere in the next 5 to 6 years, very, very few people in the UK will even be turning on TVs because they're watching YouTube, they're online, they've found other things to entertain them. Plus, of course, TV is getting more and more shit. So,
well, exactly. It's
exactly
like journalism. Nobody was seeking journalists' opinion on something. They want to know what someone who lives in this area is tweeting about or posting about.
Yeah.
And then they have no money to pay journalists to go do the thing. So now they've got no money to pay actors and production people to make shows.
Oh, yes. So what's also fascinating, I mean, it's the rise of the internet and social media, is that more and more people are consuming their news via social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. That's how we're doing it. And we're seeing a shift as well in terms of like the most followed news accounts. So usually the most followed accounts are the news accounts. We've seen a big shift in that. And there's actually a TikToker who is Dylan Page. And he is kind of going to be the first guy on TikTok to have like the most followers, and he like drops all these news stories. So he's going to be the first guy with like 10 million followers on TikTok. That's not like an official news publication, but he actually, his content is all about current affairs and what's happening. And that's the change that we're seeing, is that more people would rather watch him and gain, the insights of what's happening in the world. Following his page.
That's interesting, because it means people are not disinterested in news. It's not like people have suddenly decided the news isn't interesting. They just don't trust the sources that they used to, and they found better sources. So this is great news for that guy. Dylan who?
Dylan Page, and he's a South African who's moved to the UK.
Wow. Dylan Page. Look this guy up. Wow.
He's really, really cool. And he drops like these cool nuggets and facts in such an interesting way, and it's fascinating. And I see he calls himself Daddy News, like News Daddy or something like that. And he's cool dude to follow.
Wow. And he's done really well. I mean, people are talking about him like like this is a major celebrity, and if you can do this on TikTok these days, you are a celebrity, right?
Yeah, boy. Yes.
Okay, so he's a South African dude, you say?
Yes, he's a South African dude who stays in the UK.
I feel like I know nothing when I talk to you sometimes, Simphiwe. I'm like, oh, well, this is Dylan Page.
Yeah,
man, that's the guy from Malcolm in the Middle.
No, it's
that's Frankie Nunez with new hair. You can't fool me, Simphiwe.
Wouldn't it be funny if we end up having the greatest news person in the UK being a South African, and the greatest news person in the US being a South African? That's Elon Musk. He owns Twitter. Suddenly South Africa does make a punch way above its weight. It's just a pity those people aren't here helping us raise this disaster by the bootstraps, right?
But there's no incentive for them to do so. So
No,
that's why they're doing that.
Of course not. Listen, in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk to someone who I've been waiting to get on the show for a long time, Lasizwe, who's coming in. And we're talking about a new show that they're launching on E. I'm going to tell you about this show. It is called The Perfect Picture. And if you haven't seen it, it's really, really cool. It's all about these, photography is the world's biggest hobby. You know that, Ben. I mean, you've been a photographer. Simphiwe has been a photographer. I've been, we all are because of these phones that we have now.
Yeah.
And some people are just better than others. And obviously the ones who use the real cameras are the people who we must take seriously, right?
Yes. Always.
Because the ones who use their Samsung or their iPhone, they're just not to be taken seriously. And Lasizwe is one of 10 celebrities who's got a passion for photography. They're going to compete with each other to show that they have what it takes to step away from the spotlight and actually get behind the camera. And it's a pretty damn interesting show. So it's been on for 2 weeks already. We're going to find out all about the show from Lasizwe, and he's going to drop in the next couple of minutes. So that's lots of fun. All right, Simphiwe has something that she wants to share with us. This is pretty funny too. She's recently said goodbye to being a perfectionist. I didn't even know you were a perfectionist, Simphiwe. Why are you saying goodbye to this? Why should you do this?
Gareth,
your mental health. What's going on here?
No, it's I like reading, and I recently stumbled across this thing called the pratfall effect. And I used to think that being a perfectionist is, just the way to make it in life. Like it's that thing. Fun fact, it is not. It's actually not. And I'm going to do away with it because it is said that humans actually prefer imperfection. And you're more likable. Your boss is going to like you. Your friends, the people around you are going to like you a bit more when you actually do mistakes. It shows that human side of you. And that's kind of like what it is. So when you show people that you can make a mistake, they kind of like you more. And it's kind of like this theory around why celebrities gain more followers after controversy. It's like people see the human side to them. They're like, oh, you just like me. You also stumble. You also do this.
That's
obviously
one
you had
way
a bigger scare.
No, but that's one way to interpret it. It also could just be that people are shits and they love seeing someone fail because it makes them feel better about their failures.
It is. But there's also, perfection like body positivity does not exist. You just become better at things when you strive for better. There's no such thing as perfect, though.
Yeah, but sometimes we get so caught up with doing things right. I mean, if you do something all the time, it's like, what's that saying?
That's called a work ethic, though.
No, but sometimes it can just be a bit too much.
Guys,
it can be this.
This sounds like another excuse for people to be average. Listen, you know what's going to happen, right? The machines are coming. AI is coming. There is going to be perfection, Ben. There will be. A machine will be perfect at calculating balance sheets, for example. A machine will be perfect.
Certain things that can be perfect. Then certain things can be perfect, like an equation, a mathematic problem, because there's a definite answer. But your attitude or your way of doing something is never perfect. It's like you always strive to be the best at something because you have an outcome. But that outcome is a lot of the time it's subjective. Perfection is just a weird thing. People look at it because they want to be seen as doing something amazing. Oh, he's so perfect at this. I can do that perfectly, said this kid that no one liked in school.
I don't know. I disagree. I think it is about having a bit of a spirit of excellence, but I think you want to do things right, and you always want to kind of be that person. If you edit something, you want to edit it to a point where you feel like this is perfect. And that's what you always but that's what you're striving for. You're striving for something that you look at and you're like, this, I'm not perfect, but this right here. Oh.
So you know where you are right is they've done innumerable surveys and asked people in opinion surveys and asked them with pictures and sent them these questionnaires and all the rest of it. There've been hundreds of these things all over the world, some of them less scientific than others, where they take someone's face and they proportionally perfect them. So in other words, they'll take someone's face and they make them look absolutely perfect. Everything is, because they say there's such a thing as perfect proportion, the golden rectangle, the eyes are a certain level, the distance between the eyes and the nose and the mouth and all those things are calculable. And there's like supposedly this perfect proportionality in a human face, and that's what makes someone attractive. So what they do is they show people those pictures where they're perfect in terms of proportion. And then they show a picture where they've slightly altered something. Like the one eye is just a little bit lower than the other one, or the one eyelid is slightly higher, or the mouth, the corners of the mouth may not be aligned perfectly. For example, the teeth, the teeth may not go straight from the middle out. They might have one tooth that's slightly off center. And what they've found is when you ask people which is more beautiful, they're totally creeped out by the perfect ones. They think that they're robots or they're not real. And then they see the ones that are slightly, they can't really pick up what it is that's a little bit off, but they love that. It just looks real and human. There's a little bit of imperfection thrown into the perfection. I think that is what we strive for.
Yeah, of course. It's not to go to the Lizzo extreme, because that's taking the spectrum too far. But it's a very good point that you make there, Gareth.
No, I mean, people, for example, you're never going to... your one leg is always going to be slightly longer by millimeters than the other. Your muscles in one arm will always be slightly better than the other side, whichever one it is. Your one ear may be slightly higher than the other. Those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sucks that we actually, my whole left side is different to my right side, and I have ailments as a result. We're not symmetrical anyway. My whole face is actually...
I thought you used to walk like this, but now you've told us why.
I reckon my left leg's like a centimeter longer than my right.
Sure.
It's not even millimeters. It's not good. It manifests in my hips and my lower back and my knee.
Like a lot of women, they know which titty is higher up or lower down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Guys always have one ball that hangs slightly lower or higher than the other one. You didn't know this?
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah,
no, I just thought that my one major thing in life was having symmetrically hanging balls. You project your stuff at me, Gareth.
Is that your strength? That's what you're gonna put on your
that was your superpower.
Coming in here trying to generalize. That's my thing.
Strive. Here we go. Homotso's sensible. Strive for your perfect, not to please others. Well, again, like perfection, true perfection seems imperfect, yet it's perfectly itself. Tao says that's according to Parallel Parking. Gareth, per definition, the balance sheet is either balanced or not. You can't calculate it imperfectly. What I mean is that humans obviously make mistakes. So they wonder why the balance sheet doesn't balance, because they've gone through all the numbers, but there was 2 cents they forgot about here, or, then it doesn't make sense at the end. They write it off. That's what usually happens. But machines won't do that. Some women have boobs that are a complete cup size difference, says Beth.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Which is the scariest thing ever. I used to have a friend like that. So you could, like, the left side was like a D, and then the right side was a, and it was just horrible in terms of like bra shopping, but also just in terms of like just having these two different.
Tell you what, I wake up on a Friday. I'm always ready to learn new things. I didn't think that about women who have entirely different cup sizes. That's unbelievable.
But has there been a manufacturer that's gone that way and gone like dual cup?
No.
Well, because it's a small market.
So let me tell you something about like just buying bras in general, is that a lot of major retailers don't cater for women that actually have a bigger bust. So a lot of the times you're spending like 700, 800 rand on just one decent good bra.
Wow.
That you're just like gonna have to buy again in like a couple of months' time.
Wow.
So if already...
That's rough.
Sorry, Simphiwe, if you imagine us as guys like spending 800 rand on a pair of underwear, that's kind of crazy, right?
And it's depending on what kind of bra you're buying. So there's a t-shirt bra, strapless bra, and depending on the occasion, the bra can it can start off like at 150, but go up until like 1.5. And obviously the bigger the cup size, the more expensive the bras get, and then obviously the quality of the bras. And so a lot of the times what women do is, especially when they have different cup sizes, is just buy for the bigger cup, and then you just fill up the other side with like tissues or something.
Wow. Another day where I'm thinking, oh, Safi, I'm a guy. Oh, that's the best. Just another
There's
one
a lot of deceiving going on.
Yeah, but Ben, they're probably guys who put a sock in their underpants as well.
Yeah, I guess. But depends what kind of like. You've got to basically question what kind of work you're in. If that's your go-to. Sorry, I've got this 8 o'clock Zoom. I'm just running late. So I'm stuffing my pants. How much do you want this presentation to pop?
Carl says, "Oh wow, now we need bifocals for bras. I would never have guessed." Being a woman, says Sunny. That's why we need to be gold diggers. Yeah.
Oh,
if you need to support, says
yeah,
Beth,
you do. Just you know.
But that's so you telling me that an 800 rand bra will get you through 2-3 months.
Yeah,
and you need multiple of those, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's different qualities. I mean, if you want to buy Victoria's Secrets, you'll spend a whole lot more. But the thing is, you want to, like, going back to what kind of bra are you buying? So if you're buying a bra for the workspace, you do want it to be like a nude color. You want it to have like straps and more supportive. And then if you're buying like a bra for like your maxi dresses, you're buying something that is doesn't have like off shoulder. It's also like a different price, and they all do different things. There's Wonder bras that give you a cup bigger, so you could be like a C cup, and then now you're a D cup. There's the push-up bras that just give you a bit more, support. And depending on what you want and looking for, and what your outfit is trying to do, are you trying to entice, or are you just trying to just have some support? Is the amount of money you're going to spend, and also how they look. Like there's these granny bras, which they always like to give the bigger cup ladies. And I get mad because I'm like, no, I'm not 65. I'm only 20. So I get something sexy?
So Simphiwe, I go to Woolworths. I find medium. I get about 6 of those every, 8-10 months or whatever. And then when I start noticing a fraying around the edge, they go in the bin.
Yeah, well, with bras.
Not too particular on color. I generally go for dark, obviously, because that just makes sense. And then that's my life.
No, you have to look at color. So color plays a role. And what you buy. So do you buy it padded or lace, or do you want something bright?
See, I've never considered lace.
You're missing out, babe.
No, I mean, this is amazing. So Bronwyn says she's 38 and she still has not found the right bra. It's like a science.
Oh yeah, do you know like 60% of women wear the wrong size bra?
That is fascinating.
Like they need to go. You need to go get your boobs measured like regularly and get the right fit, because it does do something different to the chest.
And here we are thinking that women are just struggling to find Mr. Right. They just want to find the right fucking bra.
Yes, which is a mission.
This is fascinating.
And there's like rules. Like there's certain colors you can't wear with certain tops.
Simphiwe, this is really interesting. Again, I come here in the mornings hoping to learn something, and I end up rich by the end of it with new knowledge. So, could it be? I mean, again, I'm not looking for trouble, and ladies, please don't come after me and attack me when I say this. But if you are wearing the wrong bra and it's very uncomfortable, too tight, too loose, etc., could that make you grumbly and grouchy and short-tempered with people in the office or people at home?
Sure.
Or,
definitely.
Gareth,
so it's called spillage.
Yeah, can you imagine just wearing shoes that don't fit? It's a similar kind of thing, right?
Yes. Right. So the actual term is spillage, where a lady will wear a bra that's a too small, especially around the chest area. And what happens, and I don't know if you've ever noticed where ladies are constantly like adjusting. Yes, it's because you are worried that the boobs are literally going to fall out. So you keep adjusting so that they don't, because you can feel it. So that's why it's called spillage. And you do get a bit more uncomfortable.
What's the reverse of spillage? Like,
well, a good bra is not supposed to, your boobs are not supposed to, they're not supposed to go out. So you have a good bra on when it's just everything is held tight and you can't really see, anything coming out or peeking out. That's what a good bra does.
How do you not know your own size bra? Someone needs to explain that slowly. I'm sorry, but it makes no sense.
Because boobs grow. So what happens is
boobs aren't just lunch boxes. They don't just stay one shape and size.
Yes. So today, if I walked into Woolies and they took measurements, I could be a size 38D. And depending on my eating habits, or if I ran or whatnot, even like just like my period, it changes the way my body is. So in 2 months' time, I could be a size 38C. And because bras are expensive and it's one of those things where your body's constantly fluctuating, you just like, you keep the ones that you have until you have money to go and buy, you know, because it's like one of those, you know what, let me see if I really need a new, you know.
So in many ways, and I'm taking a slightly different angle here, you can't ever knock the manufacturers because, as Bronwyn says, she can't find the right bra, but there's so many variables.
Oh no, but
so it's always general, it's always moving goalposts. So.
No, well, kind of, but I could say I've always had big boobs, so I've always had an issue finding like a place where I can buy a bra that caters to my size already.
Right.
So that's like an issue that I'm like, and then when you do find that they cost 2 million and you're like,
but it's a tough one because you have to have support. You can't just go, cool, we're going to make stretchy bras because that's going to work out because that's not going to work the support.
But it goes into the look and feel of it. So as I said, that like they usually make these ugly bras for like 65-year-old ladies, especially for women who have like bigger breasts. And I'm like, but I'm not 65. So I still want the lace and the nice as a young lady. So it's like that issue of, man.
Yeah, you don't even know this granny bra.
I'm too young for that.
I think because like granny panties became a thing, but no one's ever gone, yay, granny bra.
Yeah. So,
This is really interesting too, because it means that everything is variable all the time. So it must be very, very difficult. Even if you think you found the perfect bra, then you go and shop, you see the numbers on the thing, you're like, this is perfect. And you get home and it's like, not perfect. It's not going to work. It's such a disaster. You're always in the dark, always. And things change. My God, how confusing. Carl says there was a woman at the gym on Monday and the top of her tits was spilling over. It really wasn't attractive.
But Carl, enough now. Stop going to women's change rooms. How is it that they still allow you into that place?
Wow.
Yeah. And then also, fun fact, so going back to like the different types of bras, you get sports bras. And they too are just another yassi. Like they haven't cracked it yet. Because what a sports bra is supposed to do is hold everything together as you're working out so that, you know, and a lot of the sports bras don't have that kind of support. So when women are running on the treadmill, whatnot, they tend to be moving left and right, when in fact it should not be doing that at all. A good sports bra keeps everything and nothing should move at all.
Are there still a lot of women who go around without bras on?
Yes, so most women I'm noticing actually prefer not wearing bras because that is just amazing. It's like the best feeling ever is getting home and taking off your bra. That is like, yes, there's nothing like it. You just are like, I'm free, I'm loose, I don't need to be confined anymore. You just let my people go.
It's like those ads that they usually make for like tampons where the woman is running down the beach and she looks so happy and she's like, oh, release. Is that what it's? So it's like, so what would it be for a guy? I mean, like, what if you take off a pair of like very, very tight shoes?
Yeah. You know, you got to wear those smart shoes. Well, it doesn't really happen anymore. Like collar and tie. See, but the thing is, guys have just bypassed this. They're like, well, fuck it, I'm not going to be uncomfortable. Whereas women are still obviously committed. They have to be committed to the bra.
You have to.
We don't have those moments. We're already relaxed. We're good. We get home, we get even more relaxed. It's like there's no restraints.
Yeah, you have to see it through because I mean, we live in a society where even the bras themselves, I mean, not bras, but the boobs, they have their own world, you know, and so you just want to make sure that like you're not drawing unnecessary attention to yourself, and that's what happens. And so by the time you get home, a lot of women are like, I'm taking this off, and I'm just like, wow.
But then you've also got the summer heat.
Yeah, but like what's cool now is like there's these boob tape that you can like put on, and so you don't even have to wear a bra. You can just put like some tape on. It keeps everything together, and it helps. It depends what you're going for. You could put it underneath on the boob itself. You can put it up, and you can have like a whole thing that just holds it together, and you just enjoy like the summer heat.
This does not sound as simple as I thought it once was. This is a very
I had no idea. How did we even start? How did this conversation start? It feels like it's been going for 2 hours.
We spoke about perfection, right? And we're going to talk. We're going to talk to Lasizwe. We're going to talk to Lasizwe in a moment about picture perfect. So it all makes sense. All right, Ben, you've helped us with our bets for today and for the weekend.
Yeah.
We will catch up with you in a week's time. Have an awesome weekend. Doing anything fun that we need to know about?
No, not really. I got a new cold pod thing which I'm trying out, but I'm already a bit undecided if it's going to be the future.
Oh, okay. Oh. Cool.
Yeah, it's like this little thing just for like summer, so because then you use less ice and happy days.
Oh, nice.
All right, very good.
That's really about it. All right, guys. Ciao.
Ciao.
All righty. So then we'll see you later. There's Ben Koplinski, everybody. All right. So Simphiwe, we're going to chat to Lasizwe in a moment or two. The Perfect Picture with Canon is a show that is on now. It's a 9-part reality series. 10 celebrities with a passion for photography are going to compete against each other to show what they have to make it behind the camera, not to do what most people who are celebrities do, which is before the camera, in front of it. So we're going to find out what it takes to take a really great picture. And these people have got to use their technical and creative skills to show that they can take the perfect shot. It's going to be the next 6 weeks on the show. We're going to speak to some of these people. Some of them are already well known to our audience. Some of them are people who've been guests of ours. They've been part of the conversation on the morning show. They've been some of them even had shows of their own for a while. And they're well known to South Africans. Today, we're going to speak to Lasizwe, who really needs no introduction. But in case you don't know him, his name is Lasizwe Simphiwe Dambuza, is better known as Lasizwe. And he's a South African social media personality, actor, television presenter, and YouTuber. And also one of those people who just knows how to turn things up online. And he's going to be with us this morning. We're going to talk all about the perfect picture. Have you ever thought about being a serious photographer like my brother? Uses proper cameras. He takes pictures of birds. It was his birthday yesterday. He spends an absolute fortune on his camera equipment, but he takes the most brilliant pictures.
Oh, yes. I bought myself my first camera, and I remember that moment when I was getting it. I was like, I am in it. I've bought into the vision of becoming this photographer, but I realized I didn't really like photography. I think it's more videography that I like. So there is a slight difference in the two, but I love it. It's like capturing a moment in time that you can never get back, and that is great.
You love. So it's Simphiwe, Lebang says in the comments that you know your way around cameras. So she obviously thinks that you are an expert when it comes to this stuff.
I watch a lot of guys that do YouTube, have YouTube channels, and they do photography tutorials, videography tutorials. Like they tell me about Canon and what to look out for and what to do. Okay, Lebang, stop telling people
you even have we didn't know this about you until the other day. You have a drone license. Like you could fly a drone and do video from the sky. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, I just love learning new things, and I think I love capturing moments or learning how to capture moments. But it's expensive. That equipment is very, very expensive.
Oh, it is. You got to know your stuff. Well, let us introduce Lasizwe. It's so nice to have you in the studio, Lasizwe. I'm so pleased that you made it this morning. I know you went to our old studios.
Yes, I was literally at the old studio. I almost threw a fit with the security guard. I'm like, I know where Cliff Central is. And the guy's just like, hey, these people have left a long time.
I'm sorry, dude. Anyway, it's so nice to have you here. And we've got so much to talk to you about. So obviously, you are a well-known celebrity in South Africa. You're a social media personality, actor, TV presenter, YouTuber. But now on this new show, you're going to go behind the camera, right? You're actually going to be the guy who's operating this stuff. So what made you want to do that, first of all? Have you always loved photography and videography?
I've always had a passion for just the ins and outs of how it works, because of YouTube. YouTube teaches you how to be a videographer, an editor, and a photographer at the same time. So it's all of that combined, and now you're in a professional setting. and you are competing. So that was the most interesting part for me. It's like, okay, cool. Like, can I put my YouTube skills at task it? Let me see if we can work, So yeah.
It's exciting. It's always good to learn new things, right? But you probably have to do quite a lot of technical studying, and you have to be very aware of, like, because I don't know half these things. Even on the phone, which is obviously not as complicated, there's things like exposure and white balance and all of this stuff. I don't know what that is. Have you now had to spend some time getting to grips with that stuff?
Literally, you see what you just mentioned now, I knew zero about.
No.
Like, I thought I was the G. Like, I got there, I was like, oh, guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm on the show. Oh, my God. There's from literally the manual feature, insane, because you need to learn what's an aperture. You need to learn what is your f-stop, the iOS,
Your
the
shutter
ISO, the
speed.
shutter speed. I'm like, girl.
And then they're going to tell you about the lenses.
And then the
you have to use a 55 millimeter. Come on now.
It's too much. It's giving Zimbabwe.
The math is not mathing. You're just like, what's going on?
There's too much going on at one time. So you understand that where I'm at currently, I'm just like, oh my, so what did I get myself into? Because usually YouTube, you just put a tripod, put a setting on, rock and roll, you're done.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody thinks they can take great pictures. That's the other thing. Is like I have arguments even with the rest of the team in the office when we have to do pictures after the show or whatever. And then some of them want to do, the camera must be like that. Some of them are like that. And that's just with a phone. They're not talking about all that complicated stuff you're talking about now. So give us some actual tips. Like when you're taking pictures, composition, lighting, help people like me who are not professionals, who need to know some basics.
So I think the best advice I can give you is people like Gareth who can take pictures.
No, I can't.
Like, number one, you need to identify what kind of picture you want to take. We all have this auto mode of an assumption of photos that we just want to take. We take out our phone and we just clap, clap, clap. No, have an idea in your head of what you actually want to take. Then after that, implement what you want to highlight. Do you want to highlight the eyes? Do you want to highlight the texture? Do you want to highlight the trees, the bark, the embargo? You understand that? You see where I'm going with the English now? You understand? Giving, So that's the most important thing that I learned, especially during the competition, is that our minds are just so busy because we're so busy human beings. Just focus on the subject, then apply the setting. It's like cooking. You have a recipe, then you have the steps, and then you get the whole meal. The reason why your food gets bent is because along the way, something went wrong.
All right. So tell us quickly about what you do on the show. Do you get a specific subject? Is it almost like MasterChef? You mentioned cooking now. It's like MasterChef, but with photography, right? So they say to you, we want you to photograph X, and you have to decide on how you're going to compose it, what you're going to put into the picture, what sort of style you're going for. I mean, how does it work?
So the show is a mixture of MasterChef, Fear Factor, Amazing Racy. Like it's a curry bowl. You understand? It's a mixed masala. So just think adrenaline, think on the spot, learning how to shoot night photography, learning how to shoot fast moving cars, learning how to shoot animals. There's an episode where, oh my soul, we were shooting with animals. It's actually this Sunday. Listen, it just brought me back to Soweto. The dog, as you turn the corner, it can just smell you from a distance that you are approaching. Hi.
And you're like, history. Not today, Bobby.
The rest is history, my dear. So it's all of those combined. And just the fact that every single episode, someone has to go home.
Hey, that's the tough part.
That's because
really,
relation.
It really is like a combo of a whole lot of things that we love about reality TV. So you've got the tribal council, someone goes home. You've got the challenges, MasterChef type thing. You've got the fear factor element because you're doing stuff that is sometimes very difficult or uncomfortable, or crazy, and you're learning stuff. And at the same time, obviously, you're teaching all of us. It's bloody brilliant. So what kind of equipment do you use?
So we use the Canon R8. Oh, I said Canon. Canon, if listening, it's Canon R8. Okay, we upgraded from Vukuzenzele Secondary to Harvard College. Thank you. So Canon R8, and each episode we get offered different lenses just to have a feel. And during the course of the season, there is times where you actually now have a choice. It's like more like now the multiple choice. Like you need to get your knowledge up. You need to see if, you've been listening throughout the season. And it's, like the lenses, you think it's just a copy and paste. Everything does the same thing. No, babes. They're all different.
They all shoot differently.
They're like boys. They all shoot differently. Okay? Very important.
And they all come in different sizes.
And they come in different sizes. Some
like,
are small, some are big.
Hey.
So tell me, since you've been on this show now, does this change the way that you do your own content creation? Because you were doing stuff before this show, you're going to do stuff after the show, but has it made it more professional? Has it added value to your content that you put up on YouTube, for example?
So it has given me a completely different perspective of just how I view the behind the scenes. You have an idea in your head of, oh, okay, cool, I can be a director, I can be a producer, I can do this in the beginning before the show. Until you get the exposure and realize how much work it takes just to photograph the perfect image. Like if we look at all of these images that are circulating now, I mean, we've got the popular Julius Malema image that is literally circulating everywhere right now. The composition of that picture is amazing. How it's positioned, the angle, it just has that, okay, this guy, okay, he's gonna give us a run for his money. You know what I'm saying? Like it is a thing. So it's so important how pictures are captured and how the story is told. Because if it was a different angle, it would have been like, girl, you are short. Or like, hi, Juju. Hi, my dear. Via your creative team. But
our own Lebang, sorry to interrupt you, but Lebang says, Lasizwe, other than learning new camera skills, she's not interested in that clearly. What was the drama among the contestants on the show? Pella Lasizwe. Nice.
Drama. I think the only drama, because I'm no longer drama, hey. I'm a very peaceful human being these days, hey.
You choose peace.
I'm so proud of myself, hey. I think it's age, it's growth.
Okay.
But but besides that, the only drama that we occurred, and you can catch it on the catch up, it's actually on YouTube. Crystal, last week got eliminated. Crystal from the Real Housewives of Johannesburg.
Real Housewives Crystal. Again, we've had her on the show before as well. She's hilarious.
She, like, one thing about her, she lives in her own bubble, own world. Like, you know what? Like, there will be moments where we're all getting an instant briefing right now. We're about to do this, guys. This and this. Use these settings. And then she'd step out and say, sorry. Listen, I just got this camera now, and you're explaining too much. I can't. And I'm just like, girl, we are all in the same boat here, okay?
We are not Beyonce.
We are not, okay? It's either you catch it, you grab it. Oh,
I'm getting kind of the feeling that you were pleased that she was eliminated because she was holding the rest of you back.
Babes, all the time. Like at the end, like when she got eliminated, we all just stood there. We're like, should we go? Like, what? Like, should we, should we go? Ish, Krista. You know what she did? She literally did her catwalk. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't look back. She was an unproblematic grown woman. Like,
there we go.
I stand a queen. She knows her true queen potential.
I love it. All right, listen, you can catch Lasizwe on the show. It is on TV right now. It's over the weekend, right? The show is on YouTube also. For more Lasizwe, there's a whole bunch of other cool people. It's brought to you by Canon. Perfect Picture SA is what it's called. And it's on this weekend. You can catch all the episodes. Well, I know you can't tell us who wins because that would spoil the whole show, but I do hope you win because we all have been supporting you and being fans of yours for the longest time. So it's very cool to see you on another show. And what else are you busy with? You want to plug anything else that you're doing right now?
Today is actually quite a very big day.
Oh, wow.
It's my big debut back on YouTube.
Woo!
So listen, you guys got an exclusive Cliff Central. Stand up. Is it
nice?
Yeah. Can I say like?
Oh, you say whatever you want. Say whatever
Stand
you want.
the fuck up, bitch. Period. It's about to be that. So I'm doing a show called Awkward Dates. And so we have all your prominent celebrities that have given me the opportunity to actually sit down with them and go on a date with them. So we're starting off with Musi Maimani, and it's a very delicious date. Like, honestly, I didn't think that he's got that ooze. He's got that.
Okay,
thing.
now I need
He's-
to ask.
Yeah,
I need
yes.
to know. Now that I'm pretty sure you guys have like shot the season, right?
No, we're still shooting. Yeah, it's still fresh.
Okay, still fair. I was gonna say, like, what are some of the 3 do's and don'ts on a date? Because now you becoming the person,
I know.
who knows what to do, what to say.
Personally, what you don't do in a date,
Mhm.
when you go there and you rocked up not well researched,
Hey,
you must know who you're going on a date with. There's something called Black Google.
Yeah.
Ask around. Ask who is that person. Google him. Ask a friend. Check his follower list, etc. Reason being, in this episode with Musi,
Yes.
I learned that if there's a potential second date or advance to be like a first husband, because I get this first wife,
Yeah.
first husband or like a second partner, I have to, number one, walk around with a bodyguard every day.
Yeah.
I have to forfeit my license.
Oh.
I have to, like, everything is scheduled. Like, you can't just randomly go to Woolworths to go buy milk. Hey, you have to
Is
speak.
it that deep?
Babes, I was like, you're this man. And then on top of that, as his partner,
Okay.
you are required to be either a Liverpool or Arsenal fan.
Oh.
So already
It's
those
very
signs,
shaking.
it's very shaky.
Like, it's a lot is going on.
I
It's
was
a
happy
huge
to
amount of
hear.
work.
Listen, I was very happy to hear that Banyana was once. What Banyana was Bafana. Yes, he was striker.
Wait,
You understand?
Brian Abella. That is soccer. He was rugby.
You see what I'm talking about. You see what I'm talking. Very important. So I will open up and say to Gareth, I'd like to have you on awkward dates. I'd like to go on a date with you.
Oh,
I don't have a problem with that. Let's see if we can do it.
Hi,
fun
let's
fact
see.
about Gareth.
We want
He only drinks tequila, so please.
Gareth, you can't say let's see. I want commitment live
All right.
on your show.
Yes, we'll do it. Yes.
Okay. All
All right,
You got
Lasizwe.
it.
That's
An
how you do
exclusive.
it. Yes, that's how you do it.
Lasizwe, thank you so much for coming in this morning. We will catch up again soon, have a little bit more time next time. And I love the fact that you went to our wrong offices and still made it on time. So thank you for that. And we love having you in. Thank you, man. Love you lots. Cheers.
Thank you.
There's Lasizwe, everybody. And you can catch Perfect Picture SA, just in case you don't know, every Sunday, 23rd of July, which is already a couple of days ago, on ETV at 5 p.m. And there's a repeat on Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. on eReality. You can also find it on YouTube, as you do all the good content, including Lasizwe's. All right, let's talk to George Mienie, who's on the line. Hello, George. How are you this Friday morning?
Gareth, Cliff, Simphiwe, how are you? I'm good. I'm really good.
Awesome.
Hello,
What's happening?
Well, firstly, this is a surprising thing. In the state of Texas, if you are caught drunk driving or you get convicted for drunk driving, there's a law that's just been passed where you have to pay child support for the person that you killed kids.
What?
So if you're having an accident and you kill a parent, you have to now pay child support for that parent's kids. If obviously it was your fault, if you drove driving, obviously it was your fault. But that's a brand new law in Texas. If you kill a parent, now most people are parents in the world.
Yes, of course.
So therefore, drunk driving just becomes a lot more dangerous because you're going to have to pay for the rest of your life if that person's got children.
Well, it'll hopefully make people drive a little more responsibly, but of course, people don't think that far ahead. So all it's going to do is end up with people with much, much bigger bills to pay, and maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, think before you drink, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Think before you drink. And then one of the images you got there, Gareth, is glow in the dark road. So Australia is trialing glow in the dark road markings.
Wow.
You can see they lay this little gooey substance or whatever it is over the road markings, and then it absorbs sun during. I mean, you've seen these things. You get them in these little stars and things you put on walls and you stick on stuff. It's actually it's contained in watches. The watches' hands. A lot of sports watches have this glow in the dark substance. It's the same stuff that they're trialing on roads.
So I think this is brilliant. Is it very, very expensive? Because, I mean, it's already expensive enough to just tar our roads. In fact, just to keep our roads in South Africa free of potholes is expensive enough. But if it were practical, do you think it would be something we could do all over the world?
So this is one of the big problems, because it's costing Australian taxpayers 4 million Australian dollars, which is 49 million rand, in order to trial this in the state of Victoria only.
Sure.
So very expensive thing. There are already a lot of naysayers with this, saying that it's a money pit. People are going to paint the roads and it's going to have radioactive materials. Funny how something that glows gets tainted with it's radioactive.
Yeah, exactly.
And then some people say, well, why put glow in the dark road markings on the road? Because people are going to turn off their headlights. So some dumb things.
Yeah, I don't know that this is practical. I'm glad that the Australians are wasting their money on testing it out first, but who knows? I mean, they may come up with a cheaper alternative. The reason that people think anything that glows in the dark is radioactive is not complete nonsense. It comes from using radium in old watch dials. People used to have those glow in the dark watch dials, and they actually used to contain small amounts of radium, which is a radioactive substance and can be very, very dangerous in large concentrations. And the poor women who used to have to paint those on to the watch faces, a lot of them died of various forms of cancer very shortly after working in those factories back in the early parts of the 1900s.
I did not know that. I did not know that there was radium and that's why it glowed.
Yeah, you still get some of them. Some of those watches are still around.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's in this in the road markings. It didn't say in the write-up, but maybe you're right. Maybe something dodgy makes it glow. And then Gareth and Simphiwe, our usual weekly car trivia. Are you ready?
Excellent.
Yes.
Let's do it. Of course, I'm ready. I love this. This is my favorite part of a Friday.
So first question, and what year was the first commercial radio introduced to a car?
Simphiwe, you go first.
What year was the first commercial radio?
First commercial radio introduced in a car.
I would go with something. Maybe 90. No, I think somewhere in the 80s. I would go somewhere in the 80s. So 1980 something, like
No
82.
Way too late. I'd say 1930s.
Yeah, spot on. Exactly 1930. 1930, the first commercial radio was introduced to a car. Gareth's got 1 point.
Thank you. Woo! I love winning. Okay, go on.
Okay. What is the smallest car ever made? Now, Gareth, you have a picture of it, so this is going to be Simphiwe's one.
Yes.
What was the smallest car ever made? I don't think you're going to get this, Simphiwe, but let's see.
The smallest. Well, I mean, like I know a Beetle's quite small, so I don't know if it gets. I don't know what the real or the tuk-tuks are also small, so I don't know.
Well, we were talking about one of these just the other day because they've now got these little yellow Uber, whatever they call them.
Aren't those tuk-tuks? Those small.
They're about tuk-tuk size, but that's not even the smallest. Let me show you a picture that George has found us of the smallest cars.
Oh,
That's it. I mean, it's barely human size, right? I mean, I couldn't fit in that car.
It's called a Peel 50. That's what it's called. A
Peel
Peel P50.
Who's supposed to drive it? That's for kids. Like, that's just like, a grown human is going to enter that. Like, how?
That's ridiculous, George. No, you can't tell me that humans will fit in that.
Well, I mean, if you Google it, the Peel P50, you'll see grown men inside that car. Yes, hunched up a little bit, but there are grown men sitting inside that car. I don't know, maybe Mr. Bean, designed that car.
That's ridiculous. Okay, so that is a real car, and it works, and you can license that and drive it around on the roads.
Correct. You can. Right. So next question. Who was the blind mechanical engineer who invented cruise control in 1948?
George, that's
way past.
I mean, there's just no way in hell I'm going to get that right. I'm sorry.
His name was Ralph Titor, and he was blind.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
you caught us blind. You blindsided us with that question. So I'm sorry.
That was a very tough question. Okay, but the next three aren't bad. So, what year was the first power-operated retractable hardtop introduced? Now, remember, we spoke about the retractable hardtop last week, but it wasn't power-operated. I'm talking about the power-operated hardtop. You push a button and it comes down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I'm going to stick to my answer from last time where I was wrong and say somewhere in the 90s. What are you going
to do? Simphiwe?
Hey, I'll stick to there's something about the 80s. I'm feeling very nostalgic. 1980 something.
It's funny how we choose years that we lived in, but this was introduced in 1934.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, I mean, why did they even bother with the soft tops in between if they had retractable hard tops? It makes you think. It's kind of crazy, right?
Exactly. This one you should get. What vehicle holds the record for the fastest production-built electric car in the world?
Fastest production-built electric.
Isn't it Tesla?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a Tesla too. I'm going to say somewhere in 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
The Tesla Roadster 2020 model.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry, you asked for the car. I was still thinking of years. Sorry. But there we go.
No, you're right. 2020. 2020 is the year. 2020.
Okay.
And technically, Simphiwe can get that point just for saying the Tesla, but she didn't give exactly the model. Very good.
Model in the year 2020. The Tesla Roadster in 2020. And then very finally, how long does it take? This is an interesting question. How long does it take an airbag to inflate during a crash?
It should be quite fast, like 0.2 seconds. It should be very fast, right?
I know they use something called sodium amide to make it happen, and it's meant to be faster than anything else because it's like 2.5 seconds.
40 milliseconds.
Jeez, that's quick.
Wow.
That's bound to be quicker than most human reactions, or is that not right?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it's quicker than human thought.
Extraordinary. Wow, what a thing.
Human thought.
Right, George,
and that's it for Friday.
I love it. Okay, so we finished the Friday with lots of interesting facts. We've been all over the place this week, and it's been a really, really cool week. We will see you all on Monday at 6 a.m. Don't forget, Wednesday is a public holiday, so you can take a little breather, but enjoy your weekend, everybody. We will see you next week. Ciao.